Chapter 11. Love of Convenience, when love becomes a transaction. Can love be bought? I know we've all heard that love is priceless. And yet, all around us we sometimes see relationships that look more like transactions than movie-worthy love stories. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to love only when the emotional dividend is guaranteed? Or why some partners keep score of kind gestures as if they were entries on a balance sheet? Let's have an honest conversation about these relationships of convenience, where the heart and the wallet end up, ironically sitting at the same table. Picture a fairly common scene these days, a seemingly happy couple that everyone whispers is together for the benefits. Maybe he has a very well-paid job or an influential position, while she, much younger, enjoys a luxurious lifestyle by his side. She shows up on his arm, smiling, wearing the expensive gifts he gives her, and he takes pride in her charming presence. But when the cameras stop and it's just the two of them, what do they really feel? Is it genuine love, or just a cold exchange of services and perks? Behind the smiles and the picture-perfect photos on social media, an uncomfortable question may be lurking. If the money were gone tomorrow, would the love still be there? Love of convenience arises when love becomes conditional on an external benefit. It's no longer I love you because you're you, but I love you because you give me something. It could be money, social status, career advancement, or even avoiding loneliness. In fact, the phrase for convenience points to a kind of unspoken contract. Each partner gives something and gets something in return. It sounds a bit cynical, doesn't it? And yet such relationships have existed forever. Think back to the past, when marriages were often arranged by families for financial or social reasons. Romantic love wasn't always part of the equation. What mattered more was the bride's dowry or uniting two influential families. Even today, many people think pragmatically, does my partner have a stable future? Can they offer me security? Of course, there's nothing wrong with wanting stability. The problem arises when stability becomes the only foundation of the relationship and authentic feelings take a back seat or aren't really there at all. A growing example in modern society is the phenomenon of sugar dating. You've probably heard of these relationships in which a younger person, a sugar baby, enters into a relationship with an older, affluent person, a sugar daddy or sugar mommy, in exchange for a comfortable lifestyle, expensive gifts and financial support. In theory, both know what to expect. One offers material resources, the other offers companionship and affection. In practice, it's an arrangement, a deal. Spend time with me, be by my side, and I'll make sure you lack for nothing. Now, honestly, can we really call that love? Often these relationships are openly acknowledged as transactional. Both parties know that self-interest is at play. One receives attention and feels young and admired. The other receives financial security and access to a world otherwise hard to reach. If the money or the status gap disappeared tomorrow, would the bond survive? Probably not, and that's precisely what defines love of convenience. When the interest vanishes, so does the love. It may sound harsh, but we're not judging here, just observing. There are cases where such arrangements work for a while. Some psychologists even say that relationships built on aligned interests can be surprisingly stable, sometimes more stable than those based solely on passion. Why? Because the partners enter with clear expectations and a plan. I help you, you help me. It's like a business partnership in which both sides keep their word. Without all the chemistry and butterflies that cloud judgment, they focus on concrete goals. A couple of convenience can build their life on practical foundations, a house, money, children educated at good schools, and check off all those milestones successfully. And yet I had to repeat it, because there's a big but here. Life isn't just about completed checklists. A relationship can look perfect on paper, the two have everything they need, and still be empty inside. Where is happiness? Where is that deep connection, the genuine joy of being together through thick and thin, without the thought, what's in it for me, lurking in the background? The truth is, in transactional love, the soul risks staying hungry even when the pocket is full. It's like eating a gorgeous-looking cake made of plastic. It looks like a cake, but it neither feeds you nor has any real sweetness. You might be wondering, okay, but how do I tell love of convenience from a normal relationship where we simply support each other? Excellent question. On the surface, the distinction can be subtle, but the essence lies in motivation and conditionality. In any healthy relationship, there is reciprocity. Both partners want what's best for the other and show up for each other. You worry about the person you love, you want to see them happy, you support them, and it happens naturally without feeling like you're giving of yourself in the hope of getting something back. Remember the expression, give from the heart? In authentic love, that's how it works. You offer affection, time, energy, because you feel it, not because you must. By contrast, in a relationship of convenience, there is always a kind of hidden calculation. Reciprocity turns into a transaction. Every gesture is weighed. I did this for you, what do I get in return? It may not be said outright, but it's felt. If one partner stops providing the expected benefit, say he no longer brings home a lot of money, or she no longer looks 20, what do you think happens? Often blame, distance, or even a breakup follows. Why? Because the foundation of the relationship was self-interest, not love. It's like building a house on sand. It may look fine for the moment, but the first storm makes it wobble badly. Don't get me wrong. In a real relationship, we don't live on poetry and pink hearts alone. Even in a loving couple, we enjoy it when our partner does us a favor or helps in some concrete way. The difference is that those gestures come from care, not out of contractual obligation. If tomorrow your partner goes through a rough patch and for a time can't offer you the support you're used to, true love makes you stay and want to help, not leave, muttering that the deal no longer works for me. In healthy reciprocity, there's a natural balance, both give and receive without keeping score. In love driven by self-interest, the score is everything, and you always want it to come out in your favor. Maybe you've met people who, without even realizing it, treat relationships like investments. They choose their partner based on the dividends they bring, popularity, financial stability status. A common example, someone who pairs up with a well-known person just to gain social clout, that classic "I'll be seen with the right people so I can be somebody." Or someone who stays in a relationship where they're no longer happy simply because they're afraid of being alone and prefer familiar comfort over the uncertainty of starting over. Do you see the self-interest? In the first case, the payoff is fame. In the second, it's the emotional comfort of not being alone. These aren't necessarily material interests, but they're interests all the same, meaning something other than pure love for the person. I believe each of us has at some point feared being loved only for something specific. It's a human fear. Do they love me for who I am, or for what I have? No one likes the thought of being reduced to a wallet, a physical appearance, or anything else that fades. True love sees you and accepts you, strengths and flaws included, without weighing what it gets in return. You know the saying, love is blind, but self-interest wears glasses? Put less poetically, in love we overlook imperfections and don't tally every flaw or benefit. Self-interest, on the other hand, is vigilant, leaving no box unchecked. Let's see what all this looks like in a concrete situation. Sometimes a story is worth 1,000 theoretical explanations. Next, you'll meet two imaginary people, drawn from real life, a couple who will show us firsthand what it means when love turns into a transaction. The golden light of sunset slips through the blinds of an elegant restaurant, laying playful stripes across the table where Jennifer and Michael sit. She, around 22, a hint of uncertainty in her eyes, tracing the rim of her glass with her fingers. He, close to 50, exuding the assurance of someone accustomed to luxury. They've been here a few times in recent months. Michael favors this discreet spot where the waiters already know them and bring their preferred champagne without asking. Jennifer tries to smile easily. In front of her, Michael has just set down a small blue velvet box. Inside, a delicate bracelet studded with gemstones glitters. "It's for you," Michael says with a satisfied smile. "I haven't seen you wearing jewelry very often. I thought you might like something special." "Wow, it's very beautiful. You really shouldn't have," Jennifer replies, trying to sound enthusiastic as she picks up the bracelet and examines it. In the sunset light, her eyes take on a shadow of sadness, even as a polite smile flickers on her lips. "Thank you so much, Michael." Michael reaches across the table and gently takes her hand, looking her in the eye. Jennifer feels her stomach tighten, and not from excitement, but from a faint discomfort. She quickly smooths her features into a gentle mask. "You deserved a gift to match, my dear. You know I enjoy spoiling you," he says in a warm tone, almost like a proud parent. "By the way, I was thinking, next weekend I have a business trip to Paris. Will you come with me? I promise it will be more strolling than work. You can see those museums you were talking about." Jennifer lightly bites her lip. Paris, the city of love. Her heart should be leaping at this proposal, right? Any girl dreams of a romantic getaway to Paris, but all she feels is a heavy weariness. She can already picture the packed days when Michael will be tied up with meetings, while she'll be left to shop alone on the Champs-Élysées, yet another kept princess drifting past expensive storefronts. "Sure, why not? That sounds wonderful," she finally replies, giving Michael's hand a gentle squeeze. "Thank you for thinking of me." "I always think about you, Jennifer," Michael says, releasing her hand only to lift his glass. He raises it in a subtle toast to her, to the two of us. Jennifer clinks her glass against his, and the champagne sends its fizzy bubbles to the surface. Us two. Two words that ought to mean team, bond, love. For a moment Jennifer tries to cling to them, to feel she truly is part of something special. She tells herself that Michael really does care about her, in his own way, otherwise he wouldn't make so many lovely gestures, and yet a cheeky thought whispers, "Beautiful, these gestures come at a price, nothing is free." She takes a sip of champagne and chases the thought away, feeling the sweet tart liquid slide down her throat. The evening unfolds quietly. They talk about the menu, the wine, the films they've caught at a festival, pleasant but surface-level conversations, as if they were dancing a waltz whose steps they know by heart. Michael compliments her now and then, her dress, her perfume, her smile, and Jennifer receives them gracefully, like lines in a play she's rehearsed many times. Sometimes, as he talks excitedly about plans at his firm, Jennifer's gaze drifts to the couple at the next table. Two young people close in age, simply dressed, lost in each other's eyes. They both laugh, and the girl props her chin in her palm, absorbed in whatever her partner is saying. On the table, between their empty glasses, her thin scarf lies carelessly tossed over his phone. No opulent jewelry, no designer outfit, and yet they seem so rich, rich in happiness. Jennifer feels a pang in her heart, something like envy mixed with regret. She quickly turns her gaze back to Michael, who is just offering to order dessert. "For you, a tiramisu any time. I know it's your favorite," he smiles. "Or would you like to try something else today?" "Tiramisu is perfect, thank you," she agrees, trying to pull herself together with a genuine smile. "Nothing is ever too much for you, Jennifer," Michael replies almost automatically, and she finds herself wondering if that's his standard line, repeated so often it's lost its meaning. On the way home, the night air is cool and faintly scented with linden. Michael drives his expensive car through the light-washed city, and Jennifer watches the light streak past the window. On the back seat, the box with the bracelet sits beside her purse. She should feel like a pampered princess tonight, but her heart is heavy. She feels guilty about the emptiness inside. What reason could she possibly have to be sad? Beside her is an attentive, generous man who wants to make her happy. And yet, if she were honest with herself, she'd admit this isn't the happiness she dreamed of. "You're very quiet. Are you feeling okay?" Michael asks suddenly, shooting her a quick glance. Yes, sorry. I think the wine made me a bit drowsy," she answers quickly. "It was a very lovely evening, Michael. Thank you." He smiles and nods, satisfied. In the dashboard glow, his features look more tired, and a few grey strands gleam at his temples. Jennifer watches him for a second, wondering if the same thought is crossing his mind, that something is missing. But Michael seems content with her silence and keeps driving. When the car stops in front of the apartment where Jennifer lives, paid for by Michael of course, he gets out to open her door. He offers his hand to help her out, a gallant gesture from another era. Jennifer pulls her coat tight around her shoulders. suddenly feeling a shiver of loneliness, even though she isn't alone. "Will I see you tomorrow?" he asks, hesitating for a moment as if waiting for something. Maybe a kiss, maybe a hug. But there is always a slight distance between them, a politeness that stands in for passion. "Sure, I'd like that," Jennifer answers softly. "Good night, Michael. And thank you again for the bracelet and for dinner. You're very good to me." For a fraction of a second, a strange expression passes over his face, regret perhaps, sadness, but the polite smile returns quickly. "You're an extraordinary woman, and you deserve the very best, Jennifer," he says. "Good night." She turns and steps into the building, feeling his gaze on her back until the door closes. Only after she hears the car pull away does Jennifer let her mask slip. Her shoulders loosen and the long sigh she'd been holding back spills from her chest. In the silence of the hallway, only the echo of her heels on the tile can be heard. She looks at her new bracelet, glinting coldly at her wrist, and a thought flashes through her mind. A gold bracelet, a heart of tin. She feels her eyes fill with tears but blinks them back quickly. She doesn't want to cry. After all, she knew what she was getting into from the start, didn't she? She remembers telling herself she was mature and could separate feelings from the arrangement, that his money would bring her happiness, or at least peace. And yet now, her heart can feel that this peace is empty. As she climbs the stairs to her apartment, Jennifer takes off her bracelet and holds it tightly in her palm. On the landing, through the stairwell window, she catches sight of the full moon hanging in the sky. What a romantic cliché, she thinks bitterly. Once, somewhere, she dreamed of falling in love under this very moon and feeling that even the sky knew she was in love. Instead, she is living a bittersweet story, with the sweet on the surface and the bitterness in her soul. Jennifer and Michael's story could just as well be real, because relationships like this exist all around us. We see how their relationship is built on a mutually beneficial exchange. At least on the surface, Jennifer receives material comfort, support, glittering gifts, and access to a luxurious life. Michael receives the company of a young, beautiful woman who makes him feel important and admired. On the surface, they both have what they wanted. Even so, the details and their inner experience reveal the emotional void between them. Do you remember our discussion about the difference between interest and reciprocity? In the story, we see that Jennifer feels obliged to play the role of the grateful girlfriend, to smile, to say thank you, to appear happy even when her heart doesn't feel that joy. Michael, for his part, follows the script of the generous gentleman, offering gifts, expensive dinners, trips. What's missing? Emotional authenticity. Between them we don't see deep intimacy or genuine vulnerability, rather each plays a role tacitly agreed upon, he the protector, she the pampered, grateful one. Exactly as we explained in theory, the gestures are there, but the motivation behind them isn't purely affectionate, it's transactional. Let's take a moment to examine the bracelet scene. Michael offers an expensive gift, and Jennifer feels compelled to put on a show of enthusiasm. This is the dynamic of self-interest at play. In a relationship grounded in authentic love, a gift would be simply an expression of feeling, not a test or a bargaining chip. For Jennifer, however, the bracelet becomes a symbol of their contract. It gleams on the outside but weighs heavily on her heart. And her thoughts, the comparison with that young, happy couple in the restaurant, and the question of whether anything would remain between them without the money, reflect the very doubt at the core of transactional love. Theory tells us that in such a relationship, material security comes bundled with emotional insecurity. The story illustrated this through Jennifer's state. Though she lacks nothing materially, she feels a void and wonders whether she's doing the right thing. Michael, although he seems satisfied, also has moments of hesitation, a sign that he too probably knows, deep down, that their relationship is fragile and conditional. Both avoid deeper conversations for fear of bursting their bubble of mutual comfort. This behavior reflects exactly what we've been discussing. When love turns into a transaction, honesty suffers. You can't freely say, "Today I'm sad and I feel alone," for fear of admitting the absence of real love. So you play the part, hoping the benefits will compensate for the lacks. But as we see with Jennifer, the heart is not satisfied with benefits alone. Love based on self-interest, when love becomes a transaction, is, at its core, a lesson in what true love is not. We started with the question of whether love can be bought, and throughout the chapter we've seen that what you can buy are only appearances, company, momentary attention, perhaps financial security, but not genuine affection. Authentic love doesn't come with an invoice, nor does it have terms and conditions in the fine print. It flourishes where two people truly see each other, flaws and vulnerabilities included, and choose to stay together out of feeling, not calculation. Perhaps such interest-based relationships can offer a kind of temporary comfort and a semblance of partnership. Sometimes, as we said, they even look quite stable. But the stability of such a relationship is like thin ice. It holds until the weight of a real problem, the loss of wealth, aging, the emergence of real feelings elsewhere, makes it crack. And when the illusion shatters, those involved are left with a bitter taste and the sense of time wasted in a counterfeit love. At the end of this chapter, I invite you to reflect on your own relationships or aspirations. What do you truly want from love? If the answer is to be loved for who I am, then you've grasped the essence. We all deserve a love that doesn't turn us into currency in an exchange, but embraces us as unique souls. True love is not a transaction, but a mutual gift that impoverishes no one and doesn't leave emptiness. It fills it. So when you find yourself wondering again whether love can truly be driven by self-interest, remember Jennifer and Michael. They showed us that you can have everything, but if the heart is missing, the relationship remains just a beautiful shell without life. By contrast, where there is sincere love, even the greatest burdens can be overcome, and the simplest moments, an unpretentious dinner, a walk under the moon, become priceless. Authentic love has no price tag and no expiration date. And that, dear reader, is perhaps the most comforting truth, that when love is real, it finds its worth in the things money can't buy and ulterior motives can't dictate.